Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night, so it's time for another episode of Explain Yourself. I'm your host, Benjamin Morse. My co-host, Joey Galvez, is getting home from one of the many cons going on this weekend, so he'll be in a little late. But in the meantime, I've got two great creators here who are going to stop by and tell us about some books they have live right now. I've got Jeff McClelland and Jayel Draco. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you guys on. Thanks for making the time. So what we usually do is just a kind of the quick elevator pitch of each person's book. Jeff, we'll start with you. You've got your campaign for Planet Comics live now. Tell us just a quick pitch about that.
Well, Planet Comics is a science fiction anthology. If I'm sure all of your viewers are highly knowledgeable, but it takes the title from a pulp magazine from the 40s and 50s of the same name. Planet Comics actually started as Planet Stories in a more traditional pulp magazine, and then branched off into its own comic version from Fiction House in the 1940s. And through the magic of public domain, I have stolen it. And we are kind of continuing this theme with different science fiction themed stories, all new. And it's mostly my own stories plus my friends. So the campaign is on Kickstarter right now, and it's actually ending in 2 hours. So we're doing some last minute marketing right here. Awesome. I'm just excited to get the chance to talk about it a little bit.
Very cool. So we'll talk a little bit more detail about that later. Jayel, tell us a little bit about Mr. Guy number 3.
Well, first of all, let's start with the cover, which is like amazing. Am I right? So yeah, Mr. Guy is a trilogy, and it was planned to be a trilogy. This is the finale. And so Mr. Guy is, I'll give you the quick rundown. It's a modern day fantasy. So, think like orcs, goblins, elves, humans too. But like modern tech, cell phones, cars, that whole thing. And then there's a zombie apocalypse. Mr. Guy gets bitten, infected, and cursed. And now the only way he can figure to save himself is to stop the zombie apocalypse and ultimately save everyone. But really, he starts off for his own self-interests. He's pretty much he plays the fool character with like an open door policy, like whatever happens, whatever reveals itself to him, he goes through that. It's basically one side quest after another. And I think what makes it unique is that it is kind of actually an anthology, although I wrote the whole thing. And there's 12 arcs and 3 bonus arcs. So ultimately, we end up with 15 chapters, and every chapter is illustrated by a different artist, even though I wrote them all and it's one continuous story. And it shifts artists every time there's a theme shift in the writing. So like we lampoon one, pop culture trope about zombies, and that's one artist whose style fits that, and then the next, and then the next, and so on. So
when you switch chapters, does a trap door open and the artist falls through into
we got
and then you just replace him with another one?
Reaches in and grabs that artist and the next artist and pulls them in,
That's very efficient. I like that.
Is it just like the thing on stage where the cane comes out and yanks you off if you go over time, or you're not funny like in the old shows?
Yeah, totally. Like one of those old-timey jesters, right?
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard anything about that yet, but having done a cover, I'm a little nervous now.
Oh, you'll see. Just wait for that hook.
All right.
Yeah, Ben did a great cover.
There could be a trap door here.
I can't thank you enough for the heart you put into it.
Appreciate being able to do it. It was a lot of fun.
It's wonderful. So everybody loves it.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll get into a little more detail. Unless people want to keep saying nice things about my artwork, that's cool.
That was entirely way too much from Jayel. Just saying.
So we'll jump back over.
Ramblings.
We'll jump back over to. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, is it? I was just saying, rambling's my thing.
Yeah.
That was my whole rant.
It's a podcast. I think that's what we're here to do. Joey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Sorry to crash your party. I'm sorry I wasn't here. But how are you guys doing? I heard the synopsis of both books, and I'm really excited to dive into them.
Cool. Well, on that note, let me bring my screen share back up here. We'll get into Planet Comics and kind of share some artwork from the campaign here and talk about it. Let me bring my stream right back up here. Let's see what we're doing.
Just tantalizingly close to 4,000. I didn't think we'd get there, but if someone doesn't pledge at least $21 in the next 113 minutes, I'm going to club this baby seal.
Oh my!
Oh no!
Hold on, let me get this off of my YouTube channel so we don't get any problems there.
Oh yeah, we got
like
one.
You've got like a 5-second delay, so it's we'll put it to the test.
And we got
I
one
think
that
I do have a 5-second delay, but it's just my bad internet.
And we got one that saves trees and one that harms animals.
One that saves trees, one that clubs seals. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the seal had it coming.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I believe you. You seem like a trustworthy person. And seals definitely do not seem like trustworthy people.
That seal's shifty.
Seals are one of those cute animals that I expect to hear like really horrible facts about. Like they just look very nice and peaceful, but then like, no, they'll just kill a tourist like nothing else. Like dolphins do some mean stuff you wouldn't expect. I kind of feel like they might be one of those.
Like, did you know that every 23 days a seal sells someone's kidneys on the black market? What?
Oh,
I did not know that. That's bonkers.
Oh,
weird animal facts.
I can so clearly picture that as like an aside little one-panel comic. It really just paints the visual.
All right, let's get into this.
There's a new story in Planet Comics called Seal Team, and then put a number at the end, and that's what they do. It's actually just assault the whole time through.
Nice. No idea there was this much to say about seals, but apparently there is. Yeah. But before we say anything too horrible, let's jump over to Planet Comics. I've got the campaign page up. Obviously, very close. $3 away from 4,000 now.
I'm assuming we got the Geek Collective bump just now. So we needed 21, we got 18. I don't know. Maybe we have an animal lover out there. So thank you so much to whomever gave in to my threats.
I'm sorry. I'm posting this on a seal group really quick. Sorry.
Okay, good. I expect to hear from the ASPCA relatively soon.
Yeah, we don't want to get that call, but who knows? Also, throw in the link for this one in the comments. We have the links for the other books in the description. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can head right over there and click right over to the campaign. But I wanted to ask you about some of the artwork and the story here. I love this cover, great colors. I also love that you kept I remember Planet Comics and all my research for Scarlet Twilight. You kind of updated that logo just a little bit. And what I really like is how you're moving it around the page and treating it a little bit differently.
It's slightly different than the original Planet Comics. So if you're familiar with kind of the brand of Planet Comics, I mean, anyone who knows about it recognizes like the Fiction House publication from the original 40s and 50s. But there have been different series over the years, including I think the first one after the original was in like 1989 or something like that. And usually they come and go because it's a fairly, the people who remember it love it. I tend to think that, even though comics is kind of a small community, but those who know it have some fond memories of it. So it has eventually been kind of revamped over different decades, and this is just kind of the latest iteration of this. So what I tried to do, and the logo here is designed by my friend Alan Gallo. He took the original Planet Comics logo from the 40s, and then we looked at that 1980s, I think, version of it, and we kind of combined the two. So it's legally distinct, but it takes on some of that flavor of some of the original stuff too. So that's what we're really trying to go with this, something that doesn't stray too far from the original concept, but has a modern feel to it, of course, something that's different. One of the things that I just really admire about the original series is just how very progressive it is. So the covers probably are some of the things that stand out. And I'm sure, if we wanted to show some of those original covers, we could find them very quickly. But um, just they're beautiful. They're just have that very pulp feel. But oftentimes they have like female protagonists, and they're not in that kind of damsel in distress type situation that we would have expected from comics published around that time. So I kind of wanted to embrace some of that and include some of that in the new volume too, but without getting too far away from just the original concept. So I think that the logo, which I'm just thrilled with, does a lot of that. So it kind of has that classic feel to it, but we've added a little bit of a modern approach to it as well.
Yeah, I love to see people paying attention to logo design and trade dress and all that stuff, and especially when it's something that you've got a really specific kind of problem design wise. There, you want to show that it's got to be distinct, but you kind of want to signal to people that have seen this, like me, like, oh yeah, I remember those covers. It's like a good update. I love that you're like moving it around the page a little bit on a lot of these older covers. That works out really well.
Yeah.
That's kind of I'm working on a retro cover now. I can't show just yet, but it's really hard sometimes to take those old designs because they're not always great, but they kind of work in the old school look, and to update that can be a really tricky challenge. So you guys done a great job of that. And then of course the artwork on all these is really cool.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a fine line to walk, I guess, trying to kind of bridge that gap, but that was our intent, at least, for sure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the new stories in this, in volume 5 here.
So being an anthology, we do have some stories that have continued from even the beginning. This is our 5th issue here. I try to find, again, some kind of balance between self-contained stories, things that, you don't have to know a lot about to read, plus rewarding longtime readers. And in this case, what we're doing is we're moving on from our lead story from the first 4 issues, which is a story that I have a lot of fondness for. And we are moving to a new lead story. And if you scroll up near the top of the page a little bit, we have a couple preview pages of that. The title of it is Frank Yar's The Last Hot Dog on Mars. And my goal with this story was to tell the weirdest story possible and see if people would read it. Honestly, if it comes down to it. So I thought, what could be the strangest protagonist that we have? And I thought, some kind of ambulatory hot dog who lives on another planet and tries to understand a little bit about who he is, where he comes from, his origins, because this particular story is set 100 years after all humans have left the planet. So what we're implying is that there was some kind of terraforming attempt, that there was a civilization on Mars. So this is sometime into the future, and then something happened where humanity has abandoned the planet. So now we have almost like this corporate mascot in our lead character here, who has been left behind, but doesn't necessarily know a lot about where he came from or why he's still there. So he's trying to find some of those things. So he's walking through kind of the ruins of civilization on Mars, and he comes across different characters and has different adventures. And we have the first chapter in this story here. So that was, again, my attempt in this was, what can I do? Because I like concepts that are weird for the sake of being weird, honestly. And sometimes as a creator, you try to play it very safe, and you try to think about what is someone else going to enjoy, or what other readers going to kind of gravitate toward. And at some point you just have to say, well, screw it. We're just doing this and seeing what happens with it. So not to alienate anyone, certainly I'm not trying to say this is not for you, but I hope that what I can do is take this very weird concept and make you care about it. And if I can do that, then, I've succeeded in that. So very excited about this, just because I want to see if it'll work. And I feel like the art is really great too. So I definitely want to give give all of the gratitude that I have to my collaborator on this story, who just goes by the name Pietro, and he's the one who did the cover for it with the manta rays, and he's doing the lead story here on this as well. So one of our stretch goals for this book is to include just another all new story, a short story, and it's going to be based on that cover. So Pietro's doing both of those, so I'm very excited about that. I've worked with him on and off again for a few years, and he's just a really fantastic artist. So I'm happy to include him on this and ride his coattails for sure.
Oh, yeah, I love his stuff. Does he do colors as well?
Yeah, he does everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I
kind of had to strong arm him out of doing the letters, just because if I go in and make some changes, it's sometimes hard to make some of those edits afterwards. So I'm doing the letters and writing it. But Pietro is the stuff that you like to see, I guess. The reason that you read comics in the first place.
Well, as an artist, you're not going to get any arguments from me on that one, but writing is, of course, important too. I love, as far as kind of how you describe putting the story together, and it being kind of random. I don't really see it that way. I mean, I kind of think that you've got, when I'm trying to put something together, I always kind of think of like what seems like it has some value to a reader, and a lot of times kind of genre mashups, or even like taking a sort of like post-apocalyptic or post-dystopian, something has happened, sci-fi environment with, and then throwing in like a corporate mascot, which is like a very different vibe. Sometimes I think stories need that much stuff just to give it some texture. Otherwise, you kind of have something that just seems really derivative. And especially when you're crowdfunding it, it's important, I think, to get something that the value proposition is really clear. And I think this does that. So I don't feel like it's that random in the way you described it. It looks like a pretty solid story to me.
I'll tell my mom you said that. So one of the things I love about comics is just you can do anything in them, and I think that's still true. Technology advances in other mediums for sure, but I just don't think you can beat comics just for the sheer weird factor. And I think that's on full display here. So again, that was kind of one of the things that I tried to do, was just to take this and see, like, what could we do with it. I think some of the best comics aren't comics that want to get optioned for film or other types of mediums to be adapted. Just make a great comic. And I certainly can't say that I'm the best in that regard, but it's one of those things that I at least want to lean into and just say, let's make a comic for the sake of making a great comic. So that was the goal here. Other stories here I'm more than happy to talk about, including some ones that I didn't write. So I mean, the book, since I'm publishing it, is like, I'm writing stories for this, like, you can't stop me. But another thing that I really want to, so I have this dream, and I think a lot of comic creators have this same dream, is like, what if I win the lottery one day? At first I would have to play the lottery, I guess, but if in some magical world this happened, my first thought is, well, if I win $1 million, or if I win $100 million, the first thing I'm doing is creating a comic book company. Like, we're going to have a publishing company, and we're going to make comics, and maybe they'll sell. I don't know, but we're making them because we got the funding for it. And who's going to make those comics? Well, it's all of my friends who are already, trying to make comics and doing their own thing. And that's one of the goals of Planet Comics, is just to, take the work of people who I admire, and try to give them a forum to do that as well. So, one of the things I'm excited about in this issue is we've got the longest single issue story that we've published in any of the issues. My friend Karen Rindeval, who's a video game designer from Sweden, and this is this one right here, The Passenger. So this has a very cinematic feel to it. There's not a lot of text. It's mostly the artwork kind of speaks for itself. So it's all told in double page spreads the whole way through. It's 16 pages long, and I'm really excited about this. We've got a continuing story from my friend Jeff McCumsey, who I've worked with a lot in the past. I think it's the next image here, and Jeff is doing a story called "The Old Man and the Sea of Love." So obviously, it's a riff on the Hemingway story, but with this sci-fi element. We have a few years ago, there was this really great comic called The Monuments from my friends Michael Draco and Oliver Mertz.
Yeah.
And they're doing a short story that takes place within that universe.
Yeah, that was a good looking book. I actually backed that campaign when it was out.
It was a lot of fun, and it did really well, and I was a little bit jealous about that. So I was like, maybe I can get some of that magic for this book. So they're doing something for this as well. And also one of the things that I have in every issue that I'm really proud about that probably doesn't get as much recognition or as it deserves, but my friend Diana Kruger, she writes an essay for every issue, and it's on like a Golden Age creator. We've done Lily Renee in the past, and Matt Baker, and some of the folks like that. And in this upcoming issue, we're doing a feature on Elsie Robinson. And Robinson was an editorialist who drew her own cartoons and ended up being like the most read woman in the world around the early part of the 20th century. Not a lot of people remember her, but it's just kind of a fascinating story and just about her. And she didn't necessarily have a lot to do with like comic books per se, mostly because she was working at a time where comics were new. But she still has this kind of cartoonist background, and I think her story is fascinating too. So that's the pitch. So buy Planet Comics, everyone. This is what you'll get. So yeah, the book is going to be around 60 pages. Is usually what it ends up being. And I think we've hit the stretch goal, but I'll put a reprint of a short story from the original comics in as well, just to kind of make that connection, I guess. But it's mostly 90% new. But these are some of the things and that I'm really happy to kind of to focus on and to feature, especially because I know a lot of the creators are really great people, and there's nothing better in the world than making comics with your friends. So that's my goal here.
Yeah.
Have you done Fletcher Hanks for this feature yet?
No, we have not.
No, that's an interesting one. He's a colorful guy. But very cool. So we're gonna switch over to Mr. Guy.
I know that guy.
Talk about that a little bit. Jayel, tell us a little bit more. I mean, I obviously know a lot about Mr. Guy, but
I don't want to get into seal harm, but I will say that if we don't have $2,000 soon, something.
That's all right. I'll go ahead and club another seal.
Yes, thank you. I didn't want to ask, but I was,
I want to suggest something. If you guys hit $2,000 tonight while we're on, we will make JL eat the worst aspic ever in the world.
I don't even want to see that happen.
We will all just draw it. I'll just draw the worst aspect ever.
There you go.
So Mr. Guy, this is the third and final act of Mr. Guy. It was written to be a 12-arc, 3-act series. And the second book does have a bonus act, and the third book has two arcs, two bonus arcs in the third book. So the first one's like, I think, I want to say 52 pages. The second one is 60, and the third one is like 68, something like that. Caleb Palmquist is here. Did you guys know that Caleb is also Chuck? No, I'm not going to go there. Never mind. Hi, Caleb. So Caleb actually also helped early on with the Zombie Adoption Program, which is a spinoff from Mr. Guy. I don't know if any of you are familiar. Now I'm totally rambling. I've been at a convention for the last 3 days, and I have to be back at the convention tomorrow. It's MizCon, and I love it. It's wonderful, but my brain is totally fried. So if someone could like ask me a question or get in a conversation,
you and everybody else this weekend, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Joey, look at all the hard explaining you're doing right now.
Look at, check this out. You know what I did? I had to deal with all you whiny little creators that had to be escorted to their panels. Gosh, you guys are the worst bunch in the world. I swear. No, dude, you guys are amazing. No, listen, I
Oh,
understand.
that's
Burnout.
what I was
Con
trying to
burnout
think
is a
of.
real thing, man.
Chuck Tingle. I heard a
was-
rumor that Caleb is actually secretly Chuck Tingle.
Whatever that is.
Hmm.
Is that his
Yeah.
his
Am I
stage
going to
name?
regret a lot of things, Jayel, that you bring up? I Google and I regret having done so. Is this going to be one of those things?
I am proud to be of service. You know, it's all just in the name of education. And so what we have on screen right now are little samples of art from the various arcs by different artists. And what we're looking at currently is art from Shadowwind, and this is Mr. Guy entering Sun Montoville in the post-apocalypse, which is an anagram for what it's lampooning. And each arc is lampooning something different. There we have Mr. Guy on a cheese raptor fighting his way out of the Missouri cheese caves. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of unexpected twists and turns. And anyone that's read Mr. Guy 1 and 2 definitely knows that the humor pulls no punches, and out of left field is where we always start. So,
And
I
every
can
copy of
attest to
Mr.
that.
Guy 3 you guys get a package of cheese, right?
no,
No. Oh,
no,
okay.
but we do have a tree planted for every
Oh.
single backer.
That's what it was. It was okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Even
you
looks
could
like-
make like some kind of tree nut cheese, I guess. You know, like a vegan tree nut cheese.
Okay. Mhm.
I don't know.
Very creative with the food stuff.
Yeah, you know, you gotta be in this day and age. You
True.
never
I
know
suppose that's
when
true.
you're gonna find yourself in a zombie apocalypse, right?
Right.
That's why we have a good garden here. You know, we're just
Yeah,
getting ready in case this happens.
Yeah. We're all going to
The,
Ben's house.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of tomatoes. But,
So
But,
what we have
I-
up right now is from Tess Langston, and I just am absolutely in love with that little bonus arc where Mr. Guy finds himself in the cheese caves, which are a real thing. There's cheese caves in Missouri. Abstracto knows. He lives right above them, actually. So Mr. Guy ends up in those cheese caves, and it's like land of the lost in there. Like cheese has evolved. There's dinosaurs. There's like it's like a jungle, an underground cheese jungle. It's just out of this world. I won't say exactly how that comes to be. That's a spoiler for a wonderful punchline, but yeah, we've got punchlines aplenty.
yeah, I think I was kind of rereading the scripts you had sent me in the first issues again today, and thinking about what to say about both your comics. And I was doing a little research. What I really like about Mr. Guy, aside from the humor, which humor is hard to do in comics, and people don't always land that. Mr. Guy is genuinely funny, which I think is an important thing to say up front. I just sometimes I see a humor comic, I'm like, we'll see. What I love about Mr. Guy is it has a really weird sort of, you have all these little anthology inserts where you have other characters commenting on the story. You have those little insert pages where you have ads about things Mr. Guy did in the past for jobs. And it gives it this like relaxed kind of cool, very like you're comfortable to go back to this world. It's really fun. It reminds me a lot of Cowboy Bebop in the sense that you had like an ongoing story with a lot of tonal changes. You also had like these weird little fun things like the Big Shot for Bounty Hunters show that would pop up and you were just happy to see it. You kind of have that, you follow that pattern in Mr. Guy in a really cool way. And it makes it very fun to go through the story. Everything's broken up in a cool way. And it's a fun world to visit. So yeah, I think that's really a good example of a really good way to do an anthology and put things in there fun that have to do with the story that really just amplify the experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's definitely what you're going to see in Mr. Guy. Great humor, awesome stories, some really cool art, some dinosaurs. You guys have some amazing extras, which we'll get to in the second half. But we should probably take a quick break.
Yeah,
and then, we'll come back.
let's go to our sponsor. Our sponsor is Chuck Tingle's Cheese Extravaganza. No, just kidding. It's actually our friends over at All Ages of Geek. Let's go ahead and play that.
Click that mouse and warp into All Ages of Geek's website, your ultimate portal to everything geek culture. Here you'll find articles that speak your language, from the latest anime buzz to the coolest tech trends. Our mission? To celebrate geekdom in all its glory. Whether you're a gamer, a comic enthusiast, a 90s kid, or an anime aficionado, we've got something for you. Dive deep into them with All Ages of Geek.
Thank you guys for watching here. We thank you guys for checking it out, and please head on over to allagesofgeek.com and check out all that really cool stuff. There's all they just announced that they've been doing some interviews with some really cool voice actors right now. Gen Z, I like to say this because I just came back from the con, and all you see is Gen Z's all about the voice actors right now. It's a thing now. Just like 2 or 3 years ago, voice actors were not like as big and popular as they are now. And now they are being invited to cons. So very, very cool that they're doing a lot of really cool, I think they're in a niche that like you guys are going to want to follow all the things they do, because they are like they have their freaking fingers on the pulse with all that stuff. So head on over to All Ages Geek and get all your cool geeky stuff right there from them. It's a business created by 2 young sisters. They do amazing stuff, and they have all kinds of really cool friends that contribute. So head on over there and check it out. In the second half, guys, Ben loves all the story. He loves to get into the artwork talk, all that geeky weird stuff that he likes to tell me that I tune him out about.
Yeah,
and then
all the good stuff, basically.
Yeah, all the good stuff. And then I love the business side of it, and he gets to tune me out. So this half, we're going to talk a little bit about the business side and talk about why you guys made these decisions with all of these different rewards, and why you set them at those prices, and what people are going to be getting, and what kind of deals they're going to get. So last time we started with Jeff. Let's start with JL this time. JL, I want to know, because I'm putting you in the hot seat, pal. You're on my show now. Dude, let's talk a little bit about how you price these things, and what all these amazing things that you are offering, because you guys have a lot, but you couldn't put all of the things there, but you chose
We didn't put all the things. We pared it down as much as we could, but we did try to put quite a bit of our catalog there, whatever seemed relevant in our larger tiers. And the thing is look, we might only have 1 or 2 people that get like the top tier bundle, but that brings in more capital for the project than like 30 people backing at like the bottom tier. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just every now and then we get a couple of those top tier backers, and it's but that also comes with an expense. Like, we have to send them their stuff, we have to send them all those rewards, but a lot of those rewards are also things from previous campaigns. So
you got to think about that, right? That's a good point that you're making there. When you're putting these bundles together, you got to think about how you're going to package them and send them out, right? Like, I did one where I was like, yeah, I'm going to put some buttons in there for you guys and send all these really cool things. I'm just like,
and that changes the packaging, changes the price.
Right now I can't put the buttons in with the comics, because now it's going to ruin your comics, right? And so I have to figure out a different way to package those things. And then now how am I going to put that swag with your guys' comics? Because I could just put comics in a Gemini and send it out, but now I'm gonna have to figure out like a poly bag to put everything in, and now that's an extra cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys figure this out? Because I know you guys are always forward thinking like that.
So
I just shove it in there.
Developed a spreadsheet that I put in what it costs, each individual item, what it costs, what the retail value is, what we're selling it for, and it spits out what my profit margin is for each item, including packaging, including shipping, for every tier. And then it tells me what my profit margin for that tier is. And I try to keep it within a safety zone that meets our goals.
So that's the right way to do it.
And so people can be like, hey, that should be cheaper. And I'm like, well, then I can't sell it. Like I literally cannot sell that cheaper. And if you look, we're actually pretty transparent. We put in like what the actual individual value would add up to. So in every single one of these, you see what the retail value is and what we're selling it for. And we are trying to have our minimum comfortable profit margin. And I know a lot of people are like, it should be cheaper. I'm selling mine cheaper, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's cool if this isn't your job and you're not trying to actually be successful at it. If this is a hobby and you don't care, fine, sell it cheaper, but it's not what I'm doing. I've got a lot of artists that I'm paying and I'm trying to meet their rates. And, like I need to do that. I need to meet their rates. And so I just try to make sure that my margin can include paying the people that I'm working with, which is a lot of people at this point,
Yeah, and that's the big one, right? Like when you're doing an anthology, it can get real daunting because you have all these different people that have different pay rates, right? And you have to, obviously you can negotiate a little bit, but
sure,
you don't want to negotiate to the point to where they're losing out and they're giving stuff away for free, right? Because
I mean, when I
they're
say
in the business as well, right? It's part of their
like
business.
for Mr. Guy, I'm like, hey, this is what I have. I understand if your rate is more than that, I will not be offended, but this is what I have for this project. Is that okay for you?
Yeah,
and people can make their own adult decisions about, heck yeah, that's awesome. I can't believe you're paying me that much. Or no way, I would never work for that cheap. Like, it's different for different people. There's no such thing as a fixed rate that people have. Like, people are like all different. So I say, this is what I have for this project. And it's different. Like Mr. Guy, I am outright buying as work for hire the rights to each arc I wrote. I'm buying the art from the artist, Whereas like for our anthologies, like the Oneshi Press Comics anthologies, you continue to own that work. You can continue to sell it elsewhere. You can buy copies at wholesale, as many as you want, and sell them at conventions. Like, it's a co-op model. So I'm not buying work from people for the comics anthologies. Whereas Mr. Guy, I am buying that work from people and I own it now,
Very
So
cool.
it's kind of a different thing, right?
Yeah. And Jeff, how are you handling your different tiers and the rewards and how you guys set your different pricing?
One day at a time, baby. I'll just kind of dovetail maybe onto some of the things that you were saying. I think one of the difficult things about Amazon and Walmart and places like that is they have the, I guess, infrastructure to offer like free shipping for things like this. And I don't think a lot of folks really know how much it costs to ship something, even at its cheapest level. So obviously that kind of, those two magical words when you go to the post office is media mail. And that doesn't necessarily work for everything that you're selling. So there's goals that you have, and then there's reality sometimes when it comes to it. So certainly when you're running a Kickstarter, I think a lot of backers kind of understand that you're not going into a comic shop, or you're not going into Barnes and Noble or something like that to buy this. You're buying this directly from the creators, and because of that, a lot of there's maybe a little bit more that's built into it. So I think when it comes, so I don't feel like for around 60 pages of material, no ads, anything like that, at a magazine size format and full color. The cheapest we sell, like an early bird special, was like $10 for an issue, and then it gets bumped up to $12 for the standard issues. And then we have digital versions of those too, of course, because shipping overseas is just absolutely ridiculous. So I think there's kind of a conversation between yourself as a creator and as a campaigner and the people who are using this platform to fund your work. There's some leeway there, I feel like. So, with, like, I'm selling 2 copies of the book for $22. You might not go into a comic shop and think that that's a great deal. Although, I mean, if you look at like mainstream comics and some of the things that some of the prices that they're charging for their books as well, this isn't too far away from that. But it comes down to this question of like, what kind of value am I getting, and where is this money going? So the purpose of Kickstarter is to support the creators that are making it. It's a different business model than just like the retail market. And I always I'm kind of surprised when I see these really successful or any kind of Kickstarter that has like a tier for like retail, and they're selling their books like 10 copies for dirt cheap. And I'm curious as to how they do that and how the numbers work out. And does that really is that really something that works?
It doesn't work.
For a lot
It's
of
running at a
people?
loss. It's mostly running at a loss.
Yeah.
It's an olive branch to retailers. It's like,
pretty much.
I mean, as creators, I think we all want our stuff in stores. We love getting those pictures when it's somebody's like, "Hey, I saw this on the shelf." But yeah, that
and at that point, I think when those tiers come up, right, they're more the advertising value is more worth it, I feel, than having your book in the shop and then having the person who bought the book advocate for somebody to buy it. It in the long run, I feel like that is a better value.
I mean, and I guess I do wonder if it's worth it though, because I feel like, and I feel the same way. I'm printing single issue comics. That's not the greatest.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the most successful projects on Kickstarter, a lot of times they're original graphic novels, they're hardcovers, they're 120 pages or 150 pages. And I can't necessarily just find the will to break away from, these single issues, and they're, the saddle stitch where they got the staples in the side. I love that. But I feel like some of that mentality has kind of been transferred over to, I really would love to see this on the shelf, just because I go to a comic shop every week, and wouldn't it be great to see this here as well? I don't know how well that works, to be honest with you, other than, some different outliers. I really think the model of Kickstarter is something different, and it should be something that maybe more creators should embrace. You're selling directly to consumers.
You're absolutely correct, because one thing that I learned over this weekend, and to talking to a lot of people about direct market books, right, and versus my world that I actually live in, is crowdfunded market and self-publish and creator own and whatever. So the biggest thing that there's like, it's a completely different beast. What we see that works on the platform, on Kickstarter platform, that works for us, and it's successful and it's huge and it's one of those big things that everybody does not work in the DM, and vice versa, right? And you're absolutely correct when it comes to stuff like that. It's like digital sales in the direct market is not a thing, because people still buy floppies and they go to the shops and still buy like the big two stuff, physical stuff, right? But on Kickstarter, if you talk to a lot of people, they're started to say, well, my digital sales are one time it was more, one time's less, and it's like digital sales goes like this, and so it's completely different when it comes to the two markets. So you're absolutely correct. So and on top of it all, does your book actually fit in the direct market is another question you ask yourself, right? Does that necessarily, would these books fit into the DM, and will people pick them up? And then there's guys who have these really good relationships with their home store and things like that, and most of them, they just kind of, just throw my book in there, I get to see it every day, maybe if I get somebody to pick it up, whatever. So I mean, there's all kinds of really fun stuff you can do with that, right? But I think you're absolutely correct when it comes to, these are two different beasts, and there's two different ways to market these things.
Just coming to that realization, I think, is an important step for a creator. And obviously, I'm not entirely there, just because I'm, like I said, doing these single issue comics. But just kind of understanding that it's different, and that's okay. We're in 2024, and there can be different, markets for these types of books.
It's
so
fantastic that there never used to be.
Right. So it's. When we're talking about the reward system on Kickstarter, it's tough because I want to offer, something for everyone, but that is kind of like a sunken cost fallacy at some point, where, you can't you can't reach every single person, and you can't do everything and be everything to everyone. So, I try to focus on the book and have that be like a solid reward for everyone if that's what they want. I do try to offer some unique things. Like I have a 1930s Underwood typewriter. So I will like write an individual story for someone who pledges if you want that.
That's awesome.
Some kind of something unique like that. So, it's all typewritten, and there it is. There's the old girl there, but so I'll type something out. This doesn't really matter, but I'll say that you own the rights to this. It's the only copy that exists. So just something that maybe
Listen,
stands out.
you are not put. This is not that you got a standard cover at $12. This is 50 plus pages. That's like a double standard issue, like and a little bit heftier standard double issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's for $12. That's a deal. I feel like you could have put a bigger price around that, is because if it's at 50, that should be at least $15, $20 ish, depending, right? But
it's hard to say, right? I mean, what's the point where people won't buy it or won't buy it? I think my goal here is
with the 50 page. I think the closer you get to that 20 would probably be where people were like, all right, that's a little too much. But at 12, I think you guys are getting a fair price.
So when I have like the 2 issues at 22, that $20 price point on Kickstarter seems to be very appealing to a lot of people. That seems to be the price point that a lot of people are comfortable pledging at. So I have a few that are a little bit lower than that. Like if you just want one copy of this first issue, but if the standard, what I'm hoping, I guess people will go for is just you get one of each cover. It's around 22 or 24, I guess, somewhere around there. Who knows? There's an hour and a half left on this thing. Go back it, but something around there. I feel like gives my hope is that someone is going to find some value in this. Plus, for a project like this, we end up printing maybe 200 copies all said and done. So you have something that's not unique in the truest definition of the word, but fairly unique, and it's something that's different than what you're going to find elsewhere. So that's one of the great things about just crowdfunding in general. You can find an audience. Doesn't have to be thousands of people, but you can still end up making the book.
Yeah, and that's to kind of go. And then Jeff, I know you got to scoot. You've got another commitment at in a few minutes here, but
sure.
Kind of what you were saying about the retailers, and then back to what you were just saying. I think as creators, we kind of all come to this a little differently. We're trying to build up an audience, and that at some point for a lot of us, I think we do want that to include retailers and maybe bigger companies, or just having the larger audience. But the bar for like that being profitable in stores is so high. And what's great about Kickstarter is you've got this thing where like you can still make a little bit of money, not lose money, but get your books out to people and build that audience. Because where you're in between that gap between like having no audience and then having a big enough audience to actually make it worth doing in the direct market.
I think what can be appealing, especially doing like single issues, is that at some point, we'll have a full run of whatever this ends up being, and that can be appealing to like more traditional publishers. So even we call them like independent publishers, but they're probably some of those top tier indie publishers. What they're looking for is content that's finished. And the reason for that is because if it's not, then they might have to pay the people to make it, and they don't want to do that if cards on the table in that sense. So hopefully, I certainly can't say that this is my goal here, but I certainly wouldn't be opposed to if we were let's say issue 6 comes out, we'll have at that point like 300 pages of content. If someone wanted to collect that and put that out, then maybe that would be appealing as well. But this kind of gets us to that point, even to just have this material there, because otherwise how are you going to do it? Just from a creator standpoint, just from a financial standpoint, if you think of like 300 pages, boy, that's daunting for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, totally.
I think I'm going to step away, but I really appreciate you having me on, and we kind of bridged the gap here with this 4,000 number, where we went almost up, and then we went, I think someone dropped. So now we're about halfway between where we were at the beginning of our program here. So it's not looking good for old Slappy the Seal.
Oh no!
He's got a name, and
You
he's
got
got
an
a family.
hour. You got an hour, I believe. Maybe
And
My
the
goal
person
was to
who
keep you
dropped
on long
you
enough
just
that you wouldn't have time to do anything to the
upping your
seal
play.
before you had to do your next thing. So I think we
Oh,
got
man.
there.
68 minutes to go.
Thanks
Ooh.
so much, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks
Hey,
for
it was
coming.
great
Have a
meeting
good one.
you.
Thank you. Thanks
Good to
again.
meet you.
JL. All right.
Me.
So we
Joey.
have about 10 minutes. We're not going to talk about you anymore.
We're not going to talk about what?
We're not going to talk about you anymore. No, just
Okay.
kidding. Just kidding.
No. okay,
Give us
that's fine.
a one last quick rundown of the rewards and any like special things that you guys are doing in this campaign, and then after that we're gonna kind of get into some of the campaigns that we're supporting right now and that are coming up as well.
Which I hope includes Mr. Guy, right?
Totally, yes. That's one of the you know what? Yours is actually the only live one that we are promoting right now.
Oh, really?
Everything else is in pre-launch. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, we're planning on unlocking a whole bunch of add-ons as stretch goals and backer milestones. We just wanted to give it the week to see what the temperature on that looked like. Like for example, we're gonna probably be unlocking backer milestones at every 10 backers, whereas like, if we were getting 10 backers a day, that might be silly. So we tend to hang back a little bit and wait to see how it's performing before we decide
Yeah.
what our milestones are going to look like, what our, stretch goals are going to look like, etc. But we've got a lot of stretch goals that we're hoping to unlock, but that means we got to get funded first to be able to afford those stretch goals, right? But milestones, that's like, extra freebies we'll throw in for all of our backers if we get enough backers, and we'll continue to unlock things like that, like free comics and stuff like that.
Very cool.
So, I think for sure getting 1 through 3 in print would be like, for me, if I was backing this campaign, that's what I would do. I'm a completionist, and I'm also like, I need to own it. I need to have it physical. I would be like, I need all 3 in print. The price might feel a little hefty, but it includes shipping, and it's real easy if it didn't include shipping and was cheaper for shipping to make it come out to more than that. So it's like,
plus you're getting a tree planted in your name
and a tree freaking planted, right? So there's already 63 trees are going to be planted because of this campaign, and we still have 25 days left in the campaign.
All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
So far, since you guys started doing the one tree planted, how many have you planted?
I can look that up right now, actually.
Fantastic. Because
on oneshipress.com/green.
I know when you guys first started thinking about doing this thing, it was a really cool idea, and I was like, oh, what a really cool idea. And then I started seeing other people popping up doing the same things, and you guys set the trend. No, just kidding. But
I mean, no one was doing it for per backer when we did it. We've had 1,273 trees planted,
wow,
1,273.
That's fantastic. That's freaking awesome. And that right there alone, makes me excited because
that's
you guys
are freaking big forest.
Yeah, that's nice, right? And you guys are, obviously these books that we print, right?
On paper,
and it's like you're giving that right back, right? It's like you're cutting down your footprint. So it's very, very cool. I love that you guys have done this.
Well, and I think what you said before to jump on that, the fact that we've planted 1,273 trees, it's like, it sounds cool, but in reality, the millions of trees that are cut down every day, it's like, all right, we're not putting that big of a dent in it, the
Yeah.
amount of trees that we need to actually be able to sequester enough carbon to like slow climate change is pretty
Yeah.
big compared to that. However, like you said, other creators have started doing it now,
Yeah.
right? And I've
Yeah.
had people write to me and be like, "Hey, Jayel, that's a really cool idea. I want to do this. How did you do it?"
Yeah.
So I have other people writing to me all the time, and I'm like, "Hey, here's how you do it. Here's how you partner. Here's what you do."
Yeah.
And then they go and do it. So it's not about what you as an individual can do. It's about the effect you as an individual can have
Okay.
by
So
being influential.
what
you
does
know?
it cost to have one tree planted?
If you're a partner, you can get a tree planted for $1 a tree.
Wow. That's very cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And can, is there what how can people if somebody's listening to this now, how can they become a partner?
So you go to and I don't know if this has changed, but at the time when I did it a few years ago, I just went to the website and there was a partnership program and I just wrote to them and set up an interview and talked to someone and told them my thoughts, my ideas. They told me what they thought would work and we just worked it out. It was pretty
Very
cool. Very seamless.
Very awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. And there is so many more things that trees do for the earth and the environment than the average person realizes. Like everybody knows, trees can turn CO2 into, they can absorb that and release the oxygen. They're absorbing the carbon, but also like more dangerous than the amount of CO2 that's in the air is carbon monoxide, which when carbon monoxide hits the ozone, it takes the O3 and rips that oxygen right out, and it actually breaks ozone.
Wow.
It breaks it apart into CO2 because it doesn't want to be O3 when it meets carbon monoxide. It wants the pair bond, and it just literally tears the ozone apart. Trees, however, can convert carbon monoxide, CO1, and they can convert that they sequester it and convert it into CO2 and then keep it as part of themselves while they're growing and release oxygen. So it's like they're literally breaking down gases that are destroying our atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, releasing what we can breathe, but also trees release so many tons of pollen and pinings that they pull from things that are getting washed down under the soil, like deep nutrients. They release that onto the topsoil in all of their, various stages of pinings and pollens and leaves. And then that gets washed out into the watershed, which hits the coast. And on the coast, phytoplankton blooms completely just devour that stuff. And that's actually what creates 70% of the air we breathe on the entire planet is coastal phytoplankton blooms. And that is directly because of trees, inland trees. So like a tree on a mountain in the middle of the country is actually creating that algae in the ocean that is creating our air. And then all of the creatures that eat that, and then the creatures that eat the creatures that eat that, it's like our entire freaking planet relies on trees. There's not a single thing right now on Earth that doesn't rely on trees.
And that, my friends, is Science Time with Jayel.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No,
I'm
that's
tired.
We'll have a graphic
interest
next
of
time.
mine, you know.
Next time, we'll do a webinar for you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm Jayel Draco, co-founder of Oneshi Press.
No, but I think that's fantastic because all it takes, guys, is to back Mr. Guy, and you guys are contributing to that, right? Even just by pledging $1, they get to pledge that $1 that is part of your campaign or part of your rewards to that freaking amazing process, right?
And look at how close we are to 2,000. One person could put us over.
Come on, guys, let's get that going.
Just
we
one
have
person.
25 days
that,
left.
Like maybe back at like the digital tier could be like, you know what? Screw it. I want to get all 3 in print. That could put us over.
And these are good. These are really gorgeous looking prints. The heavy card stock on the covers, interior pages, gorgeous. You guys are definitely going to want to get this one. JL, we appreciate you. We're gonna shift here a little bit and talk a little bit more about some of the other campaigns that we are doing. Yours, we are promoting yours. Yours is the only one that is live. So we do want you guys to back this project. So make sure you guys are doing that. Very, very cool stuff. But what we're wanting you guys to do is clicking those buttons to be notified on launch. And one of those ones that you can do that with is coming from our friends over at Band of Bards. It's called Amongst the Stars. And this one is a sci-fi space romantic anthology. And this one's got about 128 followers. We're getting close to 200, guys. Let's get that going. But this one was curated by our friend over who just did Tiny Island, which is CJ Hudson, and he's got all kinds of really great creators on this one. And all you got to do is click notify me on launch. This one's really easy, guys. If you guys go look at my X account, my Twitter account, you guys can check that out. There's some space booty on there. This is a really gorgeous looking cover. We got some really cool stuff there. And then the next one, we're going to keep it in space with Zeta Galaxy Outlaws, and that one is from our friend Kenneth Laster. He is the guy who is behind Try Not to Die. He's the artist. This one follows our friend Tex Wyatt, who is part of this Space Force kind of thing, right? And but she comes into contact with our friend there on the left side, Vega Corsone, and she is an outlaw. And Tex is she has to figure out whether she has to continue down the path she's already on, or is everything wrong, and is she destined to be an outlaw as well. So you guys are going to want to check this one out. All you got to do is click notify me on launch. And this one's gonna be fantastic, and I'm telling you guys to do this one because everything that you purchase contributes to me personally, because I'm part of the team. So make sure you guys, I'm gonna be doing some layout and design for these guys, so pick this one up, please, because this is gonna support all kinds of really great creators. And then another one we got, what else, who do we got? We got Danger Squad. Our friends over at Kinetic Comics are supporting this one. This is presented by them. It's called Danger Squad. It's a handful of middle school kids and who live in a town that is kind of a little weird, right? There's some weird things happening, right? And it's a mystery squad. I'm gonna give you guys that one. They solve mysteries that are happening in there's weird things happening in their town, and they solve these. This is an all ages kind of style book, maybe like a young teen YA book. Very cool. This is definitely, you're gonna want to check this one out. Gorgeous looking covers. It's gonna be an original graphic novel, and you also have some which we're still kind of working out the details. We're wondering if we're going to do some single floppies as well. So check this one out, guys. Really cool. And then we got another one from our friends over at Kinetic Comics, which is called Shade. This one is, basically, I'm going to call him a space ranger. Is that what you think would call it, Ben? It's kind of like
it's got some secret agent vibes. It's got some science fiction, a little bit of like psychological stuff. It gives me kind of a 90s Valiant Comics vibe. Is the best way I can think of it, describe it.
And it does. And the cover's really cool looking. So you're gonna want to check those. And all you guys got to do is click follow on launch. Notify me on launch on this one as well. So the very cool. And then what else we got? We got something from you, Ben.
Does Kinetic Comics have multiple comics in pre-launch?
No, they don't.
Danger Squad not Kinetic Comics?
Danger Squad is presented by them, but it's two separate people, two separate owners of the.
Okay. I was like, how'd they do that?
So he's presenting it because he's going to publish it, and he's going to pay for all the publishing things of that nature. But it's under his brand. So. Cool. Yeah, where I don't think we're gonna launch them at the same time. We're building them at the same time, but we're not gonna launch them at the same time because we don't want them to be in direct competition with the same backers. So
Gotcha.
we're gonna kind of stagger them a little bit on you guys, so you guys can back both of them. And we don't want to take all your money, even though we kind of do, but we don't want to leave you guys without food in your mouths. So,
Absolutely.
Ben, we got something from you, don't we?
We do. Cobalt Crisis is the sequel to Scarlet Twilight. It's up in pre-launch at Kickstarter now. And if you go down to the show description on YouTube, there's a link tree that takes you to this, or you can get single issues of the existing Scarlet Twilight series. This upcoming one is going to be really fun. It's a combination of Crisis on Infinite Earths with the vibe of sort of 1940s Golden Age comics like Planet Comics that we discussed today. So you get all that pulp era atmosphere and then the big epic world shattering adventures that you get in those big crossovers all in the same comic. So if you're a fan of any of those things, head over to that link tree or to Kickstarter and click on that pre-launch. We'll be getting some stuff out there really soon.
Yeah, and we are working on the layout and design for Archetypes, where you guys can see a preview of one of the stories or one of the characters from the story. His name is why did I blank? What's his name? Give me, man. Come on.
Ace Falcon is the name of the character.
I spaced on Ace Falcon. I don't know why.
It happens. It's yeah, he's one of the new. He's gonna be a really cool character in Cobalt Crisis, but we're introducing him in the first issue of Archetypes. So if you back that, you're gonna get the first look at that character.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have more of those available for people to buy on the back end as well later on once we get those out to all of our crowdfunding. And so that's coming out soon, guys. Make sure you guys are checking your updates, and we'll let you guys know. We got another one from our friends over at over at Dauntless Stories. This is Unbroken. Let me see who it's by Marcus Jimenez, Ben, if you're looking it up.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
So Unbroken is a fantasy graphic novella, and this one they had to change some artists. It's a good thing that they didn't have a lot of production problems there. They only had a few had a handful of pages finished. So yeah, unfortunately, because of the change, they had a family emergency, so they couldn't finish the out. So they switched artists and this story is still freaking fantastic. Gorgeous looking art there still. So this is part of the Deadly Verse. So Deadly Verse, I don't know if you guys know, but they have a launch. They're launching another one right now. It's with the Valorverse over on their website. You guys go to dauntlessstories.com and check that out. It's live right now. But this one here is from their other universe, which is called the Deadly Verse. It's part of all that really cool stuff, and you guys can check this one out. So make sure you guys are clicking this one to notify you on launch as well. I think that's the last one we got.
I think that is it. Yeah.
So that's about it. Jayel,
Hey.
give one last pitch of Mr. Guy and let everybody know where they can find that one.
Well, everybody's favorite half goblin has to save the world if he wants to save himself, and that includes you. And he can't do it without your help, so go check it out at kickstarter.oneshupress.com.
Fantastic. And where can everybody find you?
Me, I'm all over the web as Jayel Draco, and I am half of Oneshu Press, all over the web. So, yeah.
Awesome. Ben, do you have anything else to say?
I have nothing else to say except come back next week and we'll have some more great comics to talk about.
Yeah, where can they find you on the net?
You can find me here on YouTube at Benjamin Morse, comic book artist, and you can find me at Twitter at Benjamin W. Morse.
And you can find me at Joey Gow's 1984. That's all over the place. Make sure you guys are following us on Kickstarter. Find us under Geek Collective as well as Joey Galvez. We will have we're going to have another Archetypes very soon. We are actually open for submissions for Archetypes too. That one submissions are going to close July, so make sure you guys are getting those in. You guys go to info at geekcollective.net. I almost forgot my email. At info at geekcollective.net and drop us your submissions. Drop us some pages. We're looking for 8-page comics. They got to be finished comics, and we're looking for those to throw in there. They could be 8-page shorts or a preview of something to come that will not be printed at least until summer of next year, because this one's going to be dropping in October, and then we're going to be printing it out soon after to get it out. So we want to make sure that everybody gets to see a preview of your work before it gets printed from somebody else. So check that out. And we're also looking for articles, columns, artwork, all kinds of really fun stuff. So if you got something creative, submit it. Everybody can submit. Not everyone will be selected, but we do ask you to submit. But don't fret, because we might hold on to those submissions for next time around, because we're going to be doing we're hopefully going to be doing two per year, one in February, one in the fall. So you might be your story might be selected for the next one. So make sure you guys are doing that and checking that out. Follow Band of Bards. We have a new podcast, Band of Bards podcast, and you can find that on any favorite of your favorite podcast players. We've got 2 episodes out right now. One with Brent Fisher, who is one of the creators over there at Dauntless Stories, and then they are also working with Band of Bards as well. And then we are talking to Ben Huminick. He's got a Brody, and then he's got another one called The Last Goodbye. So check that one out. And we got a new episode that's going to be dropping on Tuesday with CJ Hudson, the curator of Amongst the Stars. So we're going to talk a little bit about Amongst the Stars. So if you guys want to tune in for that, that's going to drop on Tuesday, so you guys can hear that one and check out Amongst the Stars right after you guys listen to the episode. Other than that, I don't got anything else, Ben. So you can go ahead and play that outro, man.
Here we go. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.